What's going on, everyone? Monarch here. I hope you guys have been blessed, man. You already know how I'm doing. So what I got for you guys today is the Monarchs weekly overview. And I don't plan to try to take you guys through all the numbers and everything. I'm just giving you these breakdowns with what's happening right here, right now, where I see money flowing to and where I see money flowing out of. It's interesting too, because we've been seeing a lot of conflicts right now. And if you guys have seen my previous videos, you would already know all they use these headlines for and everything is just to use the retail traders that don't know what they're doing as exit liquidity. So I plan to give you guys a breakdown on what I'm seeing and how you might be able to position yourself in a way that you can take advantage of these market movements. But without further ado, you already know how we do. Let's get into it. Man, if you guys see my hair right now, it's a little wild. I just took a shower last night and I decided to comb it because it was a little while since I combed it. And man, I'm telling you, I think honestly this hair tames me, but I do feel very blessed to have this type of hair. But whew, I can't even control it. I think it controls me some days. But if you guys look at the markets right now, what you'll see is across majority of your commodity sectors, as well as your defensive sectors and the energy sectors. So this is like your risk off assets. What's happening is they are now entering this, or they've been in this distribution phase. And this is the phase when all of the bigger players in this space start cycling money out of those markets into the other markets. And I suspect that will be the risk on assets. So that might include things like the biotech sectors. That might include things like the tech sectors. Now, we did see a pump in the tech sectors, but I do think that the tech sector is still a good sector to be in. It just depends on what you're getting into. The miscellaneous sectors, and I will be talking more about this at the closer to the end of the video. But basically, what I'm seeing on my side of the charts is it seems as if all of these conflicts and everything that we're seeing arising right now is just another way for them to use the retail traders that really don't know what's happening as exit liquidity.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
They're just trying to push all of these random types of news and things that would cause individuals to now lose sight of what's really happening. And that's exactly why we're seeing the wars happening right now.
Why thinking is so vital. This is why a goal is so important. Because we will become that. This is why people who set goals achieve them. The trouble with men is not in achieving their goals. They do that. It's in establishing them.
So if I'm looking across oil, for instance, oil right now, it's seeing a little pump, but the pump that we're seeing, at least from what I'm seeing, is not the pump that everybody thinks might happen. I think honestly, with the wars that are evolving, a lot of individuals might be thinking to themselves, okay, well, oil is a good market to get into. Energy is a good market to get into. Defense is a good market to get into. Gold is a good market to get into. Silver. And it's not to say these markets aren't good markets to get into.
Said another way, you have to be able to listen to your own heart and mind and have the conviction to stand against popular opinion, the mob or the herd, in order to resist the temptation of what they're doing and really back your own beliefs, which, as we all know from lots of different examples, this is not easy.
And that they can't keep moving up. But if you guys see my last Monarch weekly overview, you would have heard me talking about how it almost seems as if this is like the last kind of push, it's like that last reach. It's almost as if, you're going underwater and, you make that like last gasp for air, you're like, and then you go under. That's basically what we're seeing in these markets. And I suspect that with all of the exit liquidity that's starting to be piled up, they will now start exiting heavily out of these markets. And you guys got to remember, these things don't happen just like that. It's not to say that they can't happen just like that, but they need liquidity in order to get out of the markets.
By the time it moves, what do you need on the other side? You need liquidity to get out of the position. And that's when the public come in, because now it's been filtered all the way to the public.
They can't just buy and sell instantly. So they'll use the headlines and the conflicts as a way to entice individuals to get in these types of assets.
The wider news media is really useless because it has an agenda, and the agenda is the agenda itself. So, for example, like CCTV in China, which is the state TV station or state-sponsored TV station in China, to me is exactly the same as the BBC in the UK.
Okay.
And Fox News in North America is exactly the same as North Korean state television. They all have an agenda, and the agenda is the agenda itself.
Meanwhile, they're now just positioning themselves for a completely different move. And what it seems like they're preparing themselves for is to start moving into the risk on assets. Ultimately, I think that this is basically a time where they're just trying to pile up a bunch of cash, and that's because everything's been delayed this year, and it's for a reason. It's like they're bleeding things out. And the reason for that is because when you do things like that, you prolong certain events that individuals think should come, but they aren't coming when they think they should, then we become intimidated by the markets almost. And this is causing a lot of fear, greed, and hope. And the Psychology of Money, very good book, by the way, it talks about the 3 primary drivers behind decisions that are made with money is fear, greed, and hope. And when all of these emotions are starting to arise at once, this causes a lot of confusion because of all the illusion that's now being put into the individual's faces. And this is why I say it's important that we stay true to ourselves. It's not to say don't look at the media. It's not to say don't check things out, but don't allow yourself. Like I'm going to be quite honest. I don't look at the media. I don't look at the news. I might hear a little thing or two that might tie into what I'm thinking, but I don't look at that stuff, because if you allow yourself to get immersed within it, you literally start to become it. So you have to be able to think for yourself. You have to be able to think clearly. You have to be able to decipher from what's real and what's fake. And everything that's pushed out to the media is just what they want us to see. It's not what we actually want to see. It's just what they want us to see.
What you actually need to have, as we've discussed already, is objectivity, clarity, and independence of thought in order to put yourself on that road to freedom and success.
And the trick with all of this is to confuse individuals in a way where they don't know how or when to react, especially when there's volatility in the market.
Performance anxiety occurs when our thinking about a performance interferes with the performance itself.
And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. So as you guys would see, I'm not trying to confuse you with all of the stuff I got going on in my charts, but as you guys would see, the commodity sectors have been seeing a very strong movement since the start of the year. Not even just the commodity sectors, but as well as like the defensive sectors. They've seen very strong movements in their market right before February and moving into February, as well as the energy sectors. These are all these risk-off assets that I'm talking about. But when you start looking into their markets right now, it all looks like that they're all on the verge of coming back down, or they already are coming back down, which is a sign that these are the markets they're starting to move out of right now.
Oh my God, how did he do that?
Now, when and if these markets drop, which I suspect is coming very soon, across gold, across silver, across oil, the defense sector, the energy sector, I suspect that these markets aren't done. So it's important that we do understand that part too. It's not to say that these markets are done and that they can't ever come back up, but these markets move like waves, guys. You know, they move in cycles and they move in trends. And right now we are in the cycle of a distribution phase, which leads to a downtrend in the market. And after we see that downtrend, it's very likely that we could see the market consolidate for a little bit, kind of sit in a price range. And then we start seeing that expansion phase. And there's a 61% chance that there will be a rate cut in June, at least from when I looked at it last. So if that's the case, that could very well be like the opening for when these commodity markets start seeing some money really flowing into them again. And the reason why I say that is because the markets tend to reset around that June to July point. And almost through every market cycle through history, June's like the reset point for the markets. But I suspect that it could be July is when we're really at like that final low. And that's also because if you've noticed, they've been bleeding things out. You know, they've been prolonging these types of market movements because they notice individuals are starting to catch on in some areas. But if they can alter, one, what we're seeing through the media, and two, how the markets are reacting, this will and has caused a lot of individuals to actually lose sight of what is happening.
Every one of you has a certain perception in your marketplace, and most of you are not in control of it. And unfortunately, it's become the reality for you.
But yeah, so I think oil could potentially move down to 43, 46 before we do start seeing some solid movement in their market. If we don't move down to that point, I feel as if, or not feel, this is where I suspect we would be moving to, this between this 51 and 49 zone. So I'm looking to see how does the market react if we move down here, when we move down here, and as well as what we do when we do get there. As for silver, I see us moving down to potentially this 60 to 58 range. The lowest I think we could go is below this 56 point. So we'd be sitting around right here. And that's between 51 and 53. But I'm really just seeing how does the market react when we get to 60. If we keep pushing past that, how do we react when we get to 56? And then this 53 to 51 point is where I think, from what I'm seeing, where we could be at before we do start seeing some real upside movement in these markets. So maybe you guys might want to mark these zones on your charts. This is just, you know, some zones you could look to be buying these commodities up at again. This is for gold. You know, I got zones sitting at 4,400. I got my fair value gap sitting below that. And then I also got a bit lower, 3,000. That's just about 4,000. We got 3,928, 3,915. And then I think potentially the last gap that we could see kind of filled before we do start seeing these markets either consolidate or moving back up is around this 3,793 point. When I'm looking at Bitcoin, I'm seeing that their market very well could be consolidating for the next little while. Doesn't mean they won't see some movement in their market, but I suspect that we could very well just kind of see crypto in.
Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
Oh my God, he's dying. Call 911.
What's the number? Really, nigga?
We could very well just see the general crypto markets seeing some solid movement here and there, but it's really just to shake the retail investors out. Because now they're sitting in a position where they're like, do we buy? Do we sell? Is crypto gonna crash? That's not to say you shouldn't hold it, because even if you bought in on the lows that we've been at and the market keeps moving lower, you can continue to dollar cost average your way in. So it's not to say you're in on these assets at a wrong time, but it's important that we do realize what's actually happening with these markets.
You can be around the mayhem and the noise, and you get distracted away from what's really important. And that is actually generating really high quality ideas, structuring them well, and just making money.
If you guys remember me talking about before, I said how the Benner cycle talks about 2026 being a year of good times and times to sell stocks and values of all kinds, which I do believe is the case. But I think the part where a lot of people are getting mixed up is the misinterpretation of the timing to do it. That's the big problem, is because now we're at a phase in these markets where people don't know what to do, you know? So they're either panic selling, or they're now so intimidated by the markets, they're just not even touching the markets. So when you're getting into these markets, you got to have a vision for what one you want to get into, and whether you're more comfortable with crypto, whether you're more comfortable with stocks. It's really just up to you and what you have a good understanding and a good grasp on.
I have an old-fashioned belief that I should expect to make money in things that I understand. And when I say understand, I don't mean understand, what the product does or anything like that. I mean understand what the economics of the business are likely to look like 10 years from now or 20 years from now. I know, in general, what the economics of, say, Wrigley chewing gum will look like 10 years from now. The internet isn't going to change the way people chew gum. It isn't going to change which gum they chew. If you own the chewing gum market in a big way, and you've got Double Mint and Spearmint and Juicy Fruit, those brands will be there 10 years from now.
But I very well think being able to take advantage of the crypto markets as well as the stock markets is key if you really want to succeed in times like these, because times like these are times people have prayed for, you know what I mean? But because it's happening in a way that most people didn't expect, now we're so lost in it all, and we're like, what do we do? What do we do? But the map's already been given. We just have to be able to stay true to us instead of allowing the media to captivate who we are.
Media can now be consumed in formats and bite-sized pieces that are personally tailored to your objectives. So newspapers, TV, even online generalist media is 99% of it useless for you.
But that doesn't mean don't talk to other people. That doesn't mean don't search for information. That doesn't mean don't pass ideas around, because that's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we generate ideas that allow us to excel in markets like these. But you need to know who you're going to before you start trying to really take in all the information that's being given. You need to know what your objective is. What markets are you really trying to get into? And by deciphering these different aspects, you are now positioning yourself in a way that you'll be able to succeed in a market like this.
That's beautiful, Katie. In a really weird way.
And remember, big money, all of the big people around this world right now, they're focused on building the infrastructure that will hold up the system that we're now moving into. It's a changing world order. So their goal is to literally fund the projects, the markets, the assets that are going to help support the system. The expansion phase is over, at least for now. We're now in a time where they have to put money towards the developments, and that's why I think real estate is a solid pickup as well, if you know what you're getting into. Because with all of these wars, conflicts, and everything happening, real estate will be a real good development for a lot of rich individuals right now. And that's not to say just the rich are the only ones that can take advantage of it. I'm just saying real estate in general is a solid sector to start looking toward. But we've seen things like how the markets are moving through several major conflicts, like the Iraq war, the Russian war, the Ukraine war. They all followed the same patterns that we're seeing today. And that's the cycle of money that we're seeing right now. You guys notice how the whole Greenland situation kind of went under the covers as well? Isn't that interesting? You know, everybody kind of just forgot about it. Like what? That's happening so much right now. There's so many things that are they'll be in the faces of individuals for a hot minute, and then all of a sudden it just kind of disappears. And this is a point I wanted to bring up too. Make sure you're saving information. Make sure you have somewhere like a cold storage or something where you can now take that information that you've received and store it somewhere. There's a lady that she's passed away now, but her name is Marion Stokes. And she basically recorded a shit ton of the information that was being put into the news, and then really started showing individuals how they really fucking with the system.
She would have the tapes going on different TVs throughout the apartment. So every TV she couldn't get to. So certain TVs, I would change the tapes. And Frank also had the TVs in the back that he was taping from. So it was a project for everybody to be doing.
And she also put a lot of individuals onto Apple before they blew up. But it was because she had a recording of everything that was happening, and then basically took all of that information and was like, yeah, no, you guys see this now. You guys see everything we've been missing, everything we've been losing, everything that we've now seen happening over the years that have just kind of went under the rug. This was all a bigger plan at play. And that's exactly what's happening right now. There's a bigger plan at play. So when we study history, it's important to realize that it's not just history that repeats itself. It's the human actions that repeat itself. So as we're starting to wrap this market overview up, I think if you're a trader, preparing yourself for some volatility in the markets before March really starts moving, like biotech, tech, like I said, depending on what you're getting into, crypto, although I do still think that their movement won't happen until about April. Finance, because there will be a lot of liquidity flowing through the system right now, as well as the miscellaneous sectors, and even the sports sectors as well, like the gaming and sports sectors. If you guys remember, I do the Monday market mashups where I present emerging market opportunities, and this Monday market mashup, I got a crypto asset as well as a stock asset that you can dive into. I think these are real two solid assets to get in at a time like this. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a video that I'm going to drop. So, you know, if you're looking for a nice play, stay tuned. But I think for anybody entering these markets right now, a big thing is patience. Patience is key in these markets. But you can't be too patient, because if you're too patient and you don't end up making a decision, that's how you lose out on opportunities like this. It's just understanding who you are and the type of individual you are in these markets that will allow you to make more informed decisions, as well as not getting too caught up with he said or she said. It's just being able to decipher this information for yourself. And if you don't know how to do that, you go to the individuals who you've seen doing it. I'm not even just saying that so you come to me, although I am very happy to help you navigate through these markets. But go to trusted sources that you know. Go to people who have been receiving good results. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be right every single time. But if you've seen that they've been right more times than not, then these are the individuals that, you know, might be able to provide you a bit of information that can help you navigate through these types of markets, that can help you navigate through times like this. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. Oh man, my hair is really crazy today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any questions, anything you'd like to ask, feel free to drop a comment, send me a direct message. I'm always happy to connect with you guys and even just to see how you guys are doing. But anyways, stay blessed from the best. Peace and love.